Hey LOVEBUG, so glad we're back. Today we're going to talk about sales calls. I know you think about them, I know you dread doing them, whether they're sales calls, discovery calls, little chats, or whatever you call it. Today we're going to really talk about the things that you've probably been told to do, the main thing you've been told to do, and what you actually should be doing so that you have the outcome you want, which is an ideal client for you. All right, let's get to it. Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm so excited to have you here today. And if you're new, my name is Archield. I'm an intuitive business coach. I love helping socially and spiritually conscious entrepreneurs to make a deeper impact and higher profit without all the damn hustle. And like I said, today we're going to talk about those sales calls, that one thing that you've been told to do that probably should not be doing, and the things that you should be doing, especially my little golden nugget I'm saving for the end that really helped my client Jenny go from closing about 10 to 20% to closing almost 80. It is imperative to add this one little thing. It makes such a huge difference. All right, let's get to it. So what is that one thing that you've probably been told to do for sales calls that you should not be doing? Reading from a script. Yeah, I remember when I first got started, I was doing sales calls, discovery calls, and I'm not just talking about in the business that you might be in right now, right? Like I did sales, like regular old sales in a formal life. And I also now am a coach. So if you do coaching, consulting, if you do something in the healing practitioner, like Reiki or tarot or whatever, chances are when you're getting a new client, you've been told to use a sales script. Now, sometimes using a sales script, I'm not going to lie, it can be helpful when you first get started, when you're not sure what to say or what to do. And your close ratio is not going to be as high as it could be, right? Because you're hoping that their replies are going to fit into your script. And if you haven't been practiced on where to go when they go off your script, then you could be in a little bit of trouble, right? And you start getting those closing ratios in the 10-20%, right? I want to help you get further faster and also save you some time. So the big thing that I teach my clients to do is the thing I learned to do as a coach and the thing I naturally did, but kind of got it worked out of me, so I'm glad I worked it back into me, and that is to be curious, right? Be curious. Don't use a script. All you have to do is go into the conversation, ask them what they want, ask them what their dreams and aspirations are, ask them where they are now, like ask questions, ask them why, ask them what they've done, navigate that entire conversation with curiosity. This is about them. It's a little bit about you, and they may ask you some questions, of course, and you want to answer them honestly, and ask them why did they ask that question? What has been their experience that made them ask the question? So you can always kind of taper off what they're saying, get more information, get essentially more buy-in to exactly what they want. So be sure to navigate that whole conversation with curiosity by asking questions, by following up on things that you find confusing, etc. Now, the next thing I want to say is do not be desperate. This is not the last person that you're ever going to talk to. The next person you talk to may or may not be your ideal client, may or may not be part of your divine client archetype. I mean, I hope that's who you're attracting in through your marketing, but sometimes other folks can slip through too. So when you're having these conversations, and I'm saying it's a back and forth conversation, maybe you do your sales calls via chats, like in the DMs on Facebook or on Instagram, etc. However you do them, you still want to make sure that you're not desperate. You don't need this person, that you're talking to. Instead, make sure that you're a match, right? Make sure they're a match for who you are as a person. Have a list of criteria that your clients need to meet or that your prospects need to meet to become clients, and make sure that you're taking those things off as you're having your conversation, that you're navigating with curiosity. Now, there's also that sometimes, like personality-wise, man, it's such a match and it's so freaking awesome, right? But what they need isn't something that you really offer. It isn't really something that you do. Again, don't be desperate. It just means you're not a match at this time, right? They just don't need your exact services. Maybe they need someone else's services. Or, as what happens many times, they're just not a personality match, or they're not ticking off the criteria on your checklist that you need to have an ideal client. In that case, as soon as you can during the conversation, you don't have to drag it out for the entire time that you've put aside. You come to a graceful exit, and you can literally tell them they're not a match for what you do, they're not a match for your program, that you can foresee that you may clash together. And if you've been doing that networking within your industry, offer somewhere else for them to go. That is the best graceful exit, so that they can still get the help that they need without becoming your next headache, right? So as soon as you can, as fast as you can, determine if there's a match, and if not, graceful exit. And as you're listening, right, in the conversation, as you're navigating with curiosity, everything's looking good. They're going through the client checklist. It's all good there. They're a match for things that you do. Your personalities match. Everything feels really, really good. All right, you're getting toward the end of the conversation. Determine if they're a yes. If this is really the thing that they're prepared to move forward doing, right? And a lot of times, they'll just tell you. You know, some of my clients that I've had literally said, hey, are you doing any kind of mentorship program? Like, they just DM'd me and said, I want to be in this program. Are you doing this program? Can you help me out with this? Can you give me a VIP day? I want to work with you. Those are the easiest yeses because they've already been convinced, right? But sometimes you just also need to go in and reiterate toward the end of the conversation what they said they wanted and how your program matches that. It's not really sales. It's sharing information. It's like, yeah, these things match up. It's kind of like figuring out where you want to go out to eat when you're with a group of friends, or what movie you want to see. It's like, what's everyone's preferences? Oh, well, this one fits all of our preferences. Let's go. And usually at that point, they're going to be a yes. But there are times where they're just like, I don't know. And other times where they're like, ooh, right? So you've got to determine if there's resistance, like if you're not getting that initial yes, if there's resistance or there's reluctance, right? Is there resistance or is there reluctance? That is your next piece to figure out beyond, did they tell me yes, right? So if there's resistance, again, if you haven't already reiterated why they got on the phone with you and how what they want and what you do match together, make sure you do that. A lot of times that breaks down the resistance. If you also feel resistance, you can ask why they, what is it they still need to know? And answer those questions. Now, if it's reluctance, like you're getting on the vibes that maybe your vibes aren't right, maybe you weren't leaning into your intuition, or doing a meditation beforehand so you're totally focused and open up to what they're bringing to the table, you might have been ending the call when you should have ended it earlier. That's the absolute reluctance, right? It has to be a hell yes for them. They have to really want to do this thing, or they're going to be a no. And a no is okay. A no is not right now. They're still on your list, perhaps. I hope so. If they got on a call with you, they ought to be on your mailing list. And over time, they might develop into a yes. But if they're just stone cold reluctant, you just need to let them go, right? You don't need to convince anyone of anything. You don't need to convince them to take on your services, because then you're being a pushy salesperson, okay? Now, what else can you do? The gold nugget that I gave one of my clients that really skyrocketed her ability to close clients was really simple. Toward the end of the conversation, hers is a really high dollar program, which is awesome. Sometimes you have really high dollar programs and not everyone's ready to say yes immediately. Other people, it's just their constitution where they're going to say they need to sleep on it. And literally those people need to sleep on it. You need to, before you get the conversation, you need to determine if they're pretty much a yes, right? So that they're resistant, not reluctant, right? So that's your number one thing before you get off this chat or the call with them, right? And then what you need to do, the real golden nugget, is to go ahead and make an appointment for the next time before you get off that call. Before you stop chatting for the day back and forth, make sure that everyone knows when we're following up, right? If they need to sleep on it overnight, maybe give them, let's pick this up tomorrow at such and such time for a quick check-in for 5 minutes to see what's going on and answer any lingering questions. Something as simple as that, where they're committed, they know what's going to happen. It's not like you're bugging them, which I think everyone's really afraid of. You're not bugging them. You already said, hey, we're going to make sure whether we're going forward or not, and we're going to do it at this time. And you both agree to that time when you're going to get back together, and then get back together, because chances are good that person who is a little resistant might have one or two more questions, or now they've slept into it, or they've had a time to meditate themselves and deepen into their own intuition, and now they are full on a hell yes, and they're going to move forward with you. So all of those steps are very important. And again, it's not necessarily scripting through the call, right? No scripting. We're navigating with curiosity, right? You're not desperate. You're looking to make sure there's a match. And then at the end, you're going to listen. Are they in the hell yes range? And we're just going to move on and go ahead and do payment or whatever happens next for you? Or are you hearing something else? Are they resistant or are they reluctant? They're resistant. Move forward. Make sure that you've reiterated all the ways things match up. And make sure to make that follow-up call if they don't end by saying yes. If they're reluctant, absolutely reluctant, you just let them go and let them come back on their own. You want to be coming from this really high vibe when you're talking with this person, with this lead, and turning them to an ideal client, right? And you want them to walk away saying, I really like that person. And if you're too pushy, if you try to really dig in and make them say yes, they're not going to like you. And even if they do say yes, it's not going to be the kind of situation you want to be in. All right, my loves, that was a lot. Now, I did mention do a meditation before you go into your sales calls, discovery calls, whatever it is that you're calling them, right? So coming up, my next video will be a short meditation that you can do before you start chatting with someone, whether via the keyboard or on your phone or by talking with them. All right, with that, peace, joy, love to you. Frustrated by your lack of business growth and all you find out there is take a large dose of hustle? Get a true diagnosis and a custom cure so you can realize your entrepreneurial dream. Order your custom business growth elixir today.